Hi, I'm Jasmine, and welcome to Pushing Over the Box. I'm a 13-year-old ballerina who's curious about what it really takes to dance at the highest level. Here, I ask inspiring dancers about their routines, their mindsets, and how they break boundaries. Let's go! Welcome back to another episode of Pushing Over the Box. In today's episode, I'm so excited to be joined by Nathalia Arja, principal dancer with the Miami City Ballet. At only 15, Nathalia was offered a full scholarship to train at the Miami City Ballet School and moved from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to Miami. I'm so excited to be talking to her, so let's get right into it. Hi, Nathalia. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be here to chat.
So my first question is, when did you first start dancing, and did you fall in love from the beginning?
Good question. So I started ballet. I was 5. But so my mother, she opened her ballet school, and that's where I began my classes. But she told me that I hated at first. It was not a love at first sight. This is not your usual story of, my mom was a ballerina, so the daughter is going to love it. So at first, she said I did not want to go. So she said, don't go, do whatever you want. And that eventually I came around, and then I went to her and I said, okay, I'm ready to go do ballet now. And I guess from that point on, then I never left. So it wasn't something that I woke up and I said, I love ballet.
Yeah. And what did your training journey look like?
Oh, it was a long journey. I started at 5, right? So 5 years old. I had all my training Brazil up until I was 15. And while I was studying in Brazil, I was classical trained, but I also did jazz, tap, modern, contemporary. In my mother's school, you had to do all of it, which is a great plus because by the time I moved to Miami in 2008, I was 15. That's when I joined Miami City Ballet School. I had already a lot of experience for being a student and I competed a lot. I went to a lot of competitions, which I find that also very important for a student. So you develop stage presence, you get used to being nervous. So that I was very grateful for. In my mother's school, we traveled a lot. So I was constantly in competitions, which it really helped to feel comfortable on stage. And then I came to Miami City Ballet School, and I had a whole new training because in Miami City Ballet School, we have balancing. And I had never done it before, right? So you still have your classical foundation, but certain details are what we call the balancing style. So that was a challenge because I felt like I was starting over. Even though I had done so much, I felt like, okay, now I have to learn a whole new world of this new style. So it was challenging at first. And I also had to change my point shoes. I used to wear capizios in Brazil, and because we didn't have freeds at the time. So then I switched my point shoes to freeds, which is what I still wear, and I love it. And that's what I recommend for all of my students. It shapes your feet very beautifully. It's easy to work with. So there were a lot of changes that I had to do, but thankfully I was young enough that I was still able to, reshape and add a little extra layer to my training.
Yeah. And who were your biggest inspirations growing up?
So I don't have one ballerina. I used to watch all these, at that time, they were DVDs. So I used to watch a lot of DVDs from ABT. I grew up watching, because I come from classical ballet, I watched a lot of ABT. There was this dancer. Her name is Carla Fracci. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. She used to be a principal dancer at ABT, and or maybe the DVD I watched. Anyways, it's Carla. I saw her doing Giselle, and I was amazed by her artistry. I love seeing artists on stage, just beyond technique, because her technique was incredible. But I remember seeing her, that DVD, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this is a ballerina, where you can feel the acting through a DVD. So that was my first ballerina. Like, wow. My earring. There were so many. So I can't say that I have one favorite. I think I can appreciate several different ballerinas and, just go from there.
And what first made you audition for Miami City Ballet?
That actually, my mother is the one behind all of this. She's, really well known in ballet as an incredible teacher, director, coach in Brazil. And she has sent hundreds of students outside the country, and they're all in major companies now. So then I turned 15 and I asked her, I said, I also want to go and dance elsewhere because Brazil is very limited when it comes to supporting the arts. So she said that I said, I want to go audition. So at the time, you would make a video and she sent to several places, but the one that she was most confident, and she had already been at Miami City Ballet before. And she said to me, Miami City Ballet she said, it'll be a perfect fit for you. So let's send to the school and see. So she sent it and I got the full scholarship. And that's how it happened.
Yeah. And what was it like for you moving away from your home at only 15?
Your usual answer would say, I think people would think, oh, it must have been hard. But I was so young. And when you're young and I was so passionate, like I wanted to, like my goal was to become a dancer in a ballet company. So when I got the scholarship, I said, my goal was I'm going to join the Miami City Ballet Company. That's my dream. So I was so excited that I don't think I even made space to feel afraid. I was just determined. So I remember my mother said to me, when I left you at the airport and I saw you going, she said, I was mortified. I was so scared. And you just waved at me and said, okay, bye. I didn't think about it. I'm like, okay, here we go. So that's always been my life. I've just gone, I don't try to sit much with the fear thinking. I'm just, let's go for it. So I didn't even have time to really process. And even a country that I didn't speak the language, because when I got here, I didn't speak English at all. So there was so many factors that could have made me feel afraid, but I was so determined, and that just was what made me so courageous.
Yeah. And what was it like for you getting your apprenticeship?
That was a dream come true. It was the happiest day of my life because that was the first foot at the door to eventually get the contract as a core member. So I remember when I at the time, the first director, the founder of Miami City Ballet, Edward Villela, he gave me my contract. And I remember ran to the phone to call my family because it did happen quite fast for me. Like a year later from the school, I was already getting to dance few things here and there with the company. So that was the beginning of a dream come true.
Yeah. And was it a big transition for you going from the school to the company?
I had excellent teachers that shaped me really well on the balancing style and like I said in the beginning, combining with all the experience I already had from Brazil, with all the different styles I knew, I felt pretty confident. Like I had a very, like I like to say, like a good backpack of few experiences already that I felt prepared. And again, having competed and having been on stage a lot from a young age, I felt pretty confident. So the minute that I got my first ballet to show myself in the studio, I took that as a performance. I was like, I have to give my best so they can see that I am trustworthy, that I can do this. So I remember taking every rehearsal as a core or even as a student apprentice, remember taking that like extremely seriously because I felt like each moment was a moment for them to see, can she become a core member? Does she have the experience that the company wants? So I felt confident. I felt good about everything that I had learned in the school.
Yeah. And what was it like getting promoted to soloist and then principal?
I know. I feel very lucky that I went through all the ranks because each and one of them brings you a different experience. There's this phrase that my mother would tell her students: if you want to be a great principal dancer, first be a great core member. Learn how to be a team first. So obviously I remember each time I was promoted because I went from core to soloist, principal soloist, and then principal. So becoming a soloist was just probably as exciting as when I became a principal, because then you're getting out of the core, you're being seen as beyond the core. So that was a true honor to have been given. And it's also a sense of trust, right? They trust your work, they trust you, what you do on stage. So that was an incredible memory too.
Yeah. And do you experience any pre-show nerves? And if so, how do you deal with those?
Oh, I love that question. You know, I think when I was younger, I used to feel more of that nervous, thinking through the steps. I think now it's that anticipation, but I wouldn't say necessarily that it's something that it keeps me afraid. And the times that I did feel nervous, something that I like to do is when I'm in my dressing room, I just close my eyes and I like to envision myself on stage. So instead of me feeding into, oh, what if that turn doesn't work? What if I can't do that jump? I like to do the opposite. I'm like, it's going to be that turn. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do that jump. And it's a live performance. Anything can happen. So I don't like to put pressure on myself that it needs to be perfect. I think what I tell myself is be present, enjoy, and that with that, then things happen. Things just flow because you're calm. If you're present, you're at peace. If you're thinking ahead, even before the current goes up, that's when you start freaking out. So I like to say my prayers and I take a deep breath and I just, what is the role that I'm doing? So I embody that. And then when I get out on stage, like last night, I was just dancing. So right before I hear the music, I like to smile. I like to do a lot of this before I go on, just because you got to get your face ready too. So I like to when you smile, it opens up a lot. So then I just go on and I think one section at a time. And that keeps me calm.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite ballet to dance or to watch?
Somebody asked me that last night. What has been your favorite role, Nathalia? And I don't like that question because I cannot answer because every role I've done, they bring something different and it's just a different feeling. One is so fun and easy and I don't have to stress. And then another one that's super stressful, but then it's super rewarding at the end. So for example, last night I performed Rubies from Jules, the big Balanchine ballet. And I love that role. It's fun, it's quirky. I feel like I can bring my Brazilian self in the role. But every role I've done have been so extraordinary. The parts that I get to do are exciting, are demanding, are fast. So I don't have a favorite one. They're all special in a different way.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite costume?
Ooh, a favorite costume. Let's see. To say the one I wore last night in Rubies is really fun. It's this red with the rubies and it's a short skirt and you shimmy and it makes a sound. I really think that one is super cute. And when the curtain goes up, everybody is in red, like these very flashy red. So I feel very fierce and powerful when I wear that costume.
Yeah. And have you ever gone through a major injury? And if so, how did you deal with that?
Yes. I recently did go through a very, very, very serious injury that I actually thought it was going to be the end of my career. I was for a whole year, a whole season of Miami City Ballet. I wasn't there. It was a very, very scary time because no dancer wants to finish their career because of an injury, even though there are many, many stories out there that unfortunately that's the case because we use our bodies, right? Our bodies is our instrument. So you can't avoid injuries. It's part of the job. And something I always tell the students, and I know you've heard this from me, which is embrace the injury because it will happen. It will happen. We don't have a magical container that you walk through and you'll never be injured. That's just not the reality. But this injury was really, really hard on me mentally just because the doctors, they said to me, I've never seen this before. They didn't know how to treat it. So for a dancer to hear that is extremely scary because you put all your hope and you rely on these great doctors, and to hear top surgeons look at your foot and say, I've never seen this, that really, really shook me. I was extremely sad for months and months. But once they treated me, they found what it was. From there on, I was able to relax and sort of let go and understand that it's a season. So I will not forever be injured. So the minute that I let go of that, I was able to enjoy the time away. I was able to continue exercising. I would go in every day on my own, do my workouts. I continued that discipline, but I also allowed myself during that time to think about other things that I like to do. As ballerinas, we're so busy. So sometimes you don't have time to read a book, right? To go do other things that perhaps you feel curious about it, but ballet won't let you. So for me, during that time, I started choreographing. And it's something that I discovered that I like it very much. It's another big passion of mine. So while I was letting my body heal, I started tapping into, okay, the creativity inside me. So the beautiful side of that injury is that other passions started growing because I had time to be still and look at other things. So if I can give a advice for dancers is don't wait for an injury to think about what are the other things that Jasmine likes to do. You can allow yourself. Ballet is here. You are going to still go in and give your best. But what are other things that I love to do as well? So that one day when you decide to no longer dance, you have already thought through another part of you.
Yeah. And how do you deal with tough days when you're exhausted or sore and you're not feeling up to it?
Great question, because that happens very often. It's not, people see Instagram and these perfect pictures, but it's really hard what we do. It's exhausting. Our bodies I performed last night. Today, I'm extremely sore. I'm very tired. So going in every day, I have to press the refresh button here in my mind and say, okay, what is my best today? Perhaps today I only have 30%. So I'm going to respect my body and my mind, and I'm going to give my best 30%. And then the next day, maybe I have a little more. Maybe I can give 60%. So I'm going to give my 60%. So I think respecting where you're at mentally in your body is very important. So then I ended up surprising myself. And then I go, oh, I was really tired, but I ended up having a good rehearsal because I'm very in tune with, okay, today I can push a little more. And then the next day is like, I don't have a lot in me, so I'm going to be smart about it. So I think the phrase today's best has been my secret key to show up, a little refreshed from one day to the other.
Yeah. And how is the pandemic for you?
That was difficult for all the dancers. Who wants to dance in the living room or in their kitchen? I remember doing adagio and hitting a chair. So that part was extremely difficult. And also not being in community, being away from your friends, your colleagues. It's not what this business is about. Ballet, it's not just about you, but it's about community. It's about being together every day with your friends. So that part was extremely hard. But the other side of it, I was able to teach classes, a lot of them every day. And that kept me going because I love to teach. Jasmine has taken my classes and we've had privates together. So I really, really enjoy teaching. And that filled that void of not being able to be on stage. I was able to, through teaching, which is my other passion, that helped me to get through that very, very difficult time.
Yeah. And how do you find balance in your life outside of ballet?
Oh, I love that question because I'm very passionate about this topic, which I always, something I've said to myself throughout all these years, which is make sure you separate. Ballet is not your identity. Ballet is your job. Ballet is a gift given to you, but it's not who you are. So when you separate those things, you're able to, okay, when I leave work, I'm Nathalia. I'm going to make friends outside of work, which I find very important that you don't just have ballet as your life. Obviously, you're going to I made the best friends of my life at the ballet. But as I've gotten older, I also was intentional about, okay, but let me also build relationships that are not in there because one day it's going to end. No dancer can dance forever. So I love when people ask me that, and it's why it's helped me to then transition from ballet to now I'm going to choreograph, I'm going to teach, I'm going to coach. So it makes that transition much, much easier if you're able to build it, even from your age, Jasmine. If you're already from your age, if you're able to be Jasmine ballerina, but then go be Jasmine, Jasmine the girl who has friends outside of ballet, that to me is, I find, the most important thing inside our job because it's very easy to get lost in there. And then when it's done, then you look and you go, wait, but I didn't make a life outside of ballet. Now what? So do be intentional about creating a circle outside of ballet too.
Yeah. And how do you recover after a long day of rehearsals or a show?
Yes. Well, rest. Rest is part of the career. I say this too. Don't see resting as, oh, I'm being lazy. No, rest, the body needs to, you go up and then you have to go down. And the down means you got to rest. You got to stretch. You got to take your vitamins. My husband is very on me for drinking a lot of water. I used to be really bad at drinking water. I would drink a lot of water at work and then at home I would forget about it. So I've been intentional about drinking a lot of water for you to recover your muscles. But I'd say resting your mind, just I like to come home and not think about ballet because you got to rest your mind as well. Your mind needs to go away from ballet so that when the week comes again, you're refreshed and ready for the next week.
Do you have a favorite post-show meal?
I love to eat steak. I think what I crave the most is or a nice burger and some fries. And it's so funny because people think, dancers must eat just a salad after a show. And we're like, no, we want a big meal because you've burned a lot on stage. So you need to recover. That's another way of recovering. I love my food. So I like to eat.
Yeah. And what advice would you give your 13-year-old self?
That is a very good question. I think if I could go visit 13-year-old Nathalia, I think I would have told her to worry less and worried less about, obviously your coaches are, they are to be respected and they do the casting, your director. But I would have told Nathalia, follow their guidance, but don't waste too much time pleasing them. You want to dance for yourself. And I think as dancers, sometimes we waste so much time thinking about, did they like it? How was it? And then you forget to be present and enjoy because it is a short career. So I would have said to that, Nathalia, yes, apply their corrections and all of it because they are there for a reason, but don't do it for them. Do it for yourself. Because when you're on stage, it's about you and all the work you've put into. So, if you go off stage and you're just thinking, are they going to say good job? That is sometimes it's not what's about. So that's what I would tell her, to
Yeah.
do more for her.
Yeah. And how do you define success? And has that changed over the course of your career?
It definitely has. I think as you grow older and you become more mature, I think for me now, where I'm at, the definition of success for me, it has to do with my mind. The power lies in your mind. And I've been able to, with everything I just shared about separating, ballet is not my identity. I've become a much stronger version of Nathalia because I've become more authentic. There was so much that if I just thought through ballet all day, it would have not allowed me to grow in other areas. So for me, why I feel very successful and content, it's not so much about the ballets I've done and all the claps and the compliments, which they're all very nice, but it's really all in here that I'm able to end my career really well mentally and better than how I started, stronger than I started, more, like I said, more authentic, with a strong voice. So I feel very proud of that. That's to me the success. If you can end it really, really well mentally, I think to me you've achieved something incredible, because it is a tough career. It's very easy. It can happen to all of us to get lost emotionally and mentally in this job. So that's why the key there is separating it so you can end and look at it and say, did a great career, but I am still very good here, that now I can go after other dreams.
Yeah. And my final question is, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh my gosh, 10 years. I have no idea. I don't have that answer for you, but I know what I'm going to do now is, because I can only think of the now. So the now is I'm now going to pursue my other passions. And then, it's like watering a plant. I'm going to plant the seeds so that in 10 years, I can tell you, Jasmine, guess what happened? Remember when I planted those seeds? So I think the best thing is to live present every year. It's easy to be like, oh, what am I going to be in a year or in two? No, live right here, plant the seeds, and then that plant will grow where it's meant to grow. So what I can tell you now is I'm going to pursue more teaching, more choreographing and coaching to build the next generation like yourself and give it back everything that I learned. So let's see what happens in 10 years.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It was so amazing to talk to you.
It was my true pleasure. I loved your question.